Conduct of route examiners. Route examiners must not supervise the carrier. They are there to observe. Route examiners must not attempt to set the pace for the carrier. There are no street standards. Route examiners must not suggest or forbid any rest or comfort stops. Route examiners must not discuss on the day of inspection mail volumes or potential evaluation of the route. Route examiners must make notation and comments on the day of inspection of items that need attention or improvement. Comments and suggestions should be clear and detailed for later discussion with the carrier and to make adjustment decisions. You can find more information in the M39 section 232.1, M document M-00304, and M document M-01769. The M39 section 242.214 states, an exception may be made for carriers who have served continuously for 25 years or more or are over 55 years of age. Before making an exception, determine that the carrier cannot meet the standard office time and that his or her conduct and performance are otherwise satisfactory. The office time allowed for an exempted carrier must be reasonable and be determined by management. Routes must be adjusted to as near 8 hours as possible. You'll find this quoted in the Handbook M39, section 242.122, and also in Handbook M41, section 911.2. Quote, the proper adjustment of carrier routes means an equitable and feasible division of the work among all of the carrier routes assigned to the office. All regular routes should consist of as nearly 8 hours daily work as possible. Quote, the counter mail is used to gather and evaluate data to adjust routes fairly and equitably to ensure that the workload for each route will be as near as possible to an 8-hour workday for the carrier. Vacant routes. The standard office time and PS Form 1840B street time is used if a regular carrier is assigned but not present during the week of count. Vacant routes with no carrier assigned must have a qualified replacement carrier. Handbook M39, section 241.3. Route inspector qualifications. Any member of management team may be used. They must be familiar with inspection procedures. Local supervisors and station managers should perform normal duties when their assigned unit is being inspected. Find more information on this under Handbook M39, section 216. Canceling route adjustments. When the continuation of an inspection would serve no useful purpose, the inspection may be canceled at management's discretion. A cancellation may apply to an entire delivery unit or to one or more routes of a group or of routes being inspected. Any cancellation made must be discussed with the carrier concerned, giving the reasons. When the cancellation is for the entire unit, the discussion must be with the unit steward. This can be found under M39, section 233. Before the week of count and inspection, management is required to take several initial steps before it conducts a route examination. These include: management must complete an annual route and unit review. Management must provide certain notices in advance. Management must conduct a dry run with the letter carrier on the completion of PS Form 1838C. Unit and route reviews. Unit and route reviews. Before a route examination begins, management must have completed an annual route and unit review. Results of the review must be shared with the union and letter carriers prior to proceeding with a mail count and inspection. The review itself consists of identifying problems and correct an unsatisfactory conditions such as inadequate case labels, carrier case equipment, and the amount of missent or misthrown mail distributed to the route. For more information on this, read M39 section 211.1. Schedule the count and inspection period in advance. Handbook M39 section 211.2 states, the period selected for the mail count and route inspections should be determined as far in advance as possible, and the local union should be notified of this schedule. If it is necessary to change the period, the local union should be notified of the revised schedule as far in advance as practicable. Posting schedules. 5 working days before the start of the count, management must post a notice giving the schedule of the count week and the day and date of inspection. You must be given 1 day advance notice if management changes the day of inspection to a different date. Not later than the Wednesday preceding the count week, carrier schedules shall be posted for those routes requiring an earlier start time to count the mail. You can find more information regarding the requirements of scheduling on Handbook M39 section 215.1 and sections 215.2. Also in Handbook M41 sections 913 and sections 921.23. Dry run count. The dry run count must be conducted within 21 days prior to the start of the count and route inspection. Management must teach carriers how to complete PS Form 1838C. Handbook M39, Section 217, you'll find more information. The 7-week Random Time Card Analyst. PS Form 1840B. Commonly referred to as 1840B Street Time. It consists of 7 randomly selected weeks prior to the count and the week following the count, so 8 weeks. Within the 4 weeks prior to the start of the count, the union representative will make a random drawing of lots numbered 1 to 4 to determine weeks. The M39 section 242.323 goes into more detail about this. During the week of count and inspection, management conducts the mail count and route inspection over 6 consecutive delivery days on 1-trip routes, or for 5 consecutive days, excluding Saturday, on 2-trip routes, or 1-trip routes with abbreviated or no Saturday delivery. For more information on this, look into M39 section 221.11. Annual leave during count week. M39 section 211.4 and M-01105 as quoted. All advance commitments for granting annual leave must be honored, except in serious emergency situations. Absences for other than emergencies will not be granted during the week of count and inspection. If it can be anticipated that there will be a count and inspection of the carrier routes at an installation to the extent possible, planning for that inspection should normally be completed before annual leave bidding begins. Overtime during count week. Article 8, overtime provisions and associated LMOUs remain in full effect during the week of count. Exceptions for non-ODL carriers. Day of inspection when accompanied by route examiner. On other days during the week of inspection for the amount of time to count mail. For more information, please read M39 section 221.137 and also read M-01106. Auxiliary assistance during count week. Auxiliary assistance should not be granted during count week except in very limited circumstances. When auxiliary assistance is given, add to the regular carrier's street time the actual time that it took him or her to deliver that same portion of the route on the day of inspection. Do not use the replacement street time. Obtain actual time from Form 3999. This is quoted in the M39, sections 221.138, and also in sections 241.35 of the M39. Multiple days of inspection. Management may schedule a route inspection on no more than 3 days during the week of route count and inspection. Management completes the PS Form 1838C on only 1 day. Carrier can still verify the count. When local management elects to inspect on 2 or 3 days, the PS Form 3999 closest to the selected time on the PS Form 1840 reverse will be used to transfer territory. Saturday excluded on routes with abbreviated or no delivery. Saturday is excluded from the count on routes that have abbreviated or no Saturday delivery. There is no requirement to exclude Monday when Saturday is excluded. It is not mandatory that counts begin on Saturday. You can find more information of this in Handbook M39, section 221.11. No changes to clerk operations. Handbook M39, section 221.133 states, there should be no changes in normal distribution procedures or clerical schedules during the period of mail counts. The normal cutoff time for distribution should be observed. Discipline for not making standards. Handbook M39, section 242.332 states, no carrier shall be disciplined for failure to meet standards, except in cases of unsatisfactory effort which must be based on documented, unacceptable conduct that led to the carrier's failure to meet office standards. Office time work allowances can be found in the M39, section 222. It goes over the 18.8 casing standards. It goes over 70 pieces per minute pull down, and it talks about line items 8 through 13, which are time credits for specific functions. It also talks about lines 14 through 21 minimum time allowances, and it finishes off with lines 22 to 23, which are time deducted. Those lines and everything else you need to go over and make sure is accurate. PS Form 1838C. Carriers count mail. Letter carrier routes worksheet. Handbook M39, section 221.31 states, the carrier should count and record the mail every day except on the day of inspection, when the mail must be counted and recorded by a manager. On one or more days during the count week, each route will be inspected by a manager. When management performs the mail count, the carrier serving the route upon request may verify the mail count. PS Form 1838C, lines 1 through 13, talks about mail volumes recorded in the AM and mail volumes recorded in the PM. Talks about recording for letters, flats, spurs, accountable mail, parcels, box holders, second-class mail markups, change of addresses, insured receipts in DPS volume. PS Form 1838C lines 14 to 23. Line 14 is accountable mail. We have a minimum of 6 minutes. Line 15, withdrawal of mail. We have a minimum of 5 minutes. Line 16, sequencing and collating mail. They'll use our actual time. Line 17, strapping out time. Actual time will be used. Line 18, 10-minute office break. It's a local option. Line 19, vehicle inspection, 3-minute minimum. Line 20, personal time, 5 minutes fixed. It's not on the form. Line 21, reoccurring office work not covered by other line items, 9-minute minimum. Line 22, non-reoccurring office work, time deducted. Line 23, counting mail and filling out PS Form 1838C, time is deducted. Recording line items in clock rings, actual time entries recorded. Record beginning and end time each event. Line items 21 and 22 require comments. Multiple entries of line 21 and 22 and all recorded times rounded up to the nearest minute. Clock rings are recorded in the hundreds. For more information, check out the M39 section 222. Perform duties the same during the week of count. M41 section 915 states, in order that a fair and reasonable evaluation may be made by management, carriers must perform their duties and travel their routes in precisely the same manner on inspection day as they do throughout the year. Deliver all the mail. There should be no accumulation of mail on the day before the count starts, and there should be no mail curtailed on the last day of the count. All classes of mail available to the carrier must be routed and delivered. No casing of mail the day prior to the count. You can find more information regarding this in the M41 section 921.11 and also in the M39 section 221.134. Conduct of route examiners. Route examiners must not supervise the carrier. They are there to observe. Route examiners must not attempt to set the pace for the carrier. There are no street standards. Route examiners must not suggest or forbid any rest or comfort stops. Route examiners must not discuss on the day of inspection mail volumes or potential evaluation of the route. Route examiners must make notation and comments on the day of inspection of items that need attention or improvement. Comments and suggestions should be clear and detailed for later discussion with the carrier and to make adjustment decisions. You can find more information in the M39 section 232.1, M document M-00304, and M document M-01769. Comfort stops. The M39 section 242.341 states, reasonable comfort stops will not be deducted from the carrier's actual time. Management may try to deduct time for reasonable comfort stops, but any deduction should be discussed with the carrier. Reasonable has no exact definition. PS Form 3999, the inspection of letter carrier route. The purpose, records observations and transfers territory. The PS Form 3999 front side. The front portion contains basic information for type of route and carrier inspected. Total elapsed time for major events, leave office, launch, return to office. It also talks about your vehicle mileage. Totals reflected are after deductions. Examiner's answers to 26 questions only used for recommendation. Yes and no answers are not used for deductions or disciplinary action. For more information, please read the M39 sections 234.12 and 234.13. The PS Form 3999, the reverse side. The reverse portion contains allied time functions in delivery time. It has all blocks delivered on the route, possible deliveries, deliveries made, time entries for each event, travel patterns, line of travel to and from the post office, and delivery methods, park, loop, vehicle, dismount. You can find more information in the M39, section 234.14. PS Form 1840 Carrier Delivery Route, Summary of Count and Inspection. It has information regarding the average daily office time, average daily street time. It has your 1840B time. It has your average total time, your average volume, your average line items, and the percentage deliveries made. The M39, section 242.214 states, an exception may be made for carriers who have served continuously for 25 years or more or are over 55 years of age. Before making an exception, determine that the carrier cannot meet the standard office time and that his or her conduct and performance are otherwise satisfactory. The office time allowed for an exempted carrier must be reasonable and be determined by management. The M39, section 242.311 states, under normal conditions, the office time allowance for each letter route shall be fixed at the lesser of the carrier's average time used to perform office work during the count period, or the average standard allowable office time. PS Form 1840 Street Selections. There are two street time selection choices. 1. The average of the 8-week 1840B street time, or 2. The average street time for week of count. PS Form 1840 Street Selections. Management may not make deductions for failure to finger mail or take shortcuts. Local management, not the examiner, provides instructions. An effort to reinspect the route prior to adjustment should be made. The city carrier consultations. There are two consultations with the city carrier. The evaluation consultation, which will discuss PS Forms 1838 and 1840, which are provided to the carrier. They also talk about time disallowances on the PS Form 1840, and it also talks about the days excluded from the PS Form 1840B. The second consultation with the city carrier is the adjustment consultation. This talks about the consideration of relief or addition to the route. Carrier's comments must be documented and considered. The evaluation consultation. PS Forms 1838 provided to the carrier 5 days prior to the consultation. The PS Form 1840 should be provided to carrier 1 day prior to the consultation. All time disallowances on PS Form 1840 should be provided to the carrier 1 day in advance. The route adjustment consultation. Discussion with carrier on proposed addition or relief of their route. Carrier comments recorded on the PS Form 1840 reverse will be addressed. There is no carrier signature required, and carrier's comments cannot be ignored.